Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Internet Linux Users Group meeting number 9. How's everybody doing today? Hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday afternoon, evening, whatever it is to you. And today I've got Mr. Tyler with me, as usual. Say hello to the people, Tyler.
Hello.
Yep. And so today, me and Tyler is going to be doing this thing called the Users Group meeting again. And so without further ado, let's get into the news. So
First off, sorry for the 3-week gap there.
Yeah, sorry for the 3-week gap. It's been a busy couple weeks for me and Tyler between 4th of July and other different things. It's just been a busy couple weeks. I haven't really had a chance to have a meeting. Tyler, also, didn't you have some computer issues towards in the last couple weeks here? Didn't you have like a...
Oh, yeah. So the ACPI system for some reason started acting up. It might have been the fact that I was unplugging my computer every single night, but it somehow resolved itself.
Okay, interesting. And Tyler, of course, you run a server for a desktop, so you're using some pretty intense hardware there compared to
yeah. And for anybody that doesn't know, ACPI stands for Advanced Configuration and Power Interface. It's basically what allows all the systems to communicate about power usage. So if that doesn't work, nothing works.
Makes a lot of sense. As a software guy, I don't deal with the hardware stuff much. Yeah, it's a BIOS level thing. Yeah, as a software guy, I don't deal with the hardware much. So that was a good explanation for me too. So thank you for that. But anyways, so you got those issues fixed magically.
Yeah.
So that
magically it just started working, and then of course for some reason it didn't see my RAID card. I don't know why. I unplugged it, replugged the stuff back in, and it started working again. I think it was probably just a bad put-in. Oh, and on completely related news, almost had the house burned down. There was a 97-acre fire right next door. We had a level 3 go evacuation.
Wow,
that was flipping fun. And that was the 4th fire we've had on the Bear Creek Greenway in the past, within 8 days of that one.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a lot of fires on the Greenway. All started at transient camps, apparently.
Wow. Well, that's...
and I've heard that there was apparently a body found nearby, so...
Wow.
Might have been either the bum that started it, or it was being tried to hide the body or something. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, it was at a very bad time. It was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the wind was really picking up, so it went fast.
Wow, that's a scary situation to be in. Well,
it was one hell of a scary situation.
Yeah, hope everyone was okay.
Yeah, there were no casualties thus far found. I mean, there was a couple detached garages, like 2 of them that were destroyed, and a couple other random things, but other than that, everything was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, even the log cabin church was fine, surprisingly.
Interesting. Anyways,
off of that tangent.
So anyways, one of the things that I thought was really interesting to talk about this week was a Forbes writer that spent 2 weeks using Ubuntu and now says that they're going to be their daily driver. And I thought that was pretty interesting because, you know, a lot of people, and myself included, have our issues with Ubuntu, and sometimes we complain about it. But obviously, you know, the issues that we complain about, I guess the normal users really don't notice. So, you know, I guess that the Slender Canonical doesn't pay attention to those things. So I thought that was kind of interesting. You know, he was talking about how that the snap packages was really interesting. And there's a link to an OMG Ubuntu article that talks about this, but in greater detail, which I think is actually pretty interesting to think about. But I think it is interesting to have an outsider's perspective in the community because, you know, when you've been using Linux for 3 or 4 years, you kind of forget what it was like to be the new user that never had sat down in front of a Linux desktop before, right? So I think that can kind of be a useful thing to note, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what about you? Do you remember the first time you used Linux in def?
Indefinitely. This is actually the first indefinite usage I've had of it. I mean, over the years, from since I was 14, I had it just dual booted installed and kind of used it here and there.
Yeah.
On rare occasions, and never really gave me much issues except for Steam not wanting to install.
I didn't start using Linux until I was about 12 or 13, and it's debated. Several people have debated with me who told me about Linux first. Two of my friends can't make up their mind, but I personally believe it was my friend Carmen, and he, me and him would we both ran Minecraft servers at the time. I was about 13, 12, 13, and we ran Minecraft servers, and this was in the early days of Minecraft, and then we also did like web page stuff and all that, web server stuff like that. And I wasn't a programmer, but I did know like my way around server maintenance and stuff. And he turned me on to this thing called Linux, and he said, hey, you should really start running a lot of your infrastructure on Linux, in one of these VPS things, which are the cool thing of the time. Now they're just so common. Everybody
VPS, literally everybody has
server.
one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, everybody has a VPS.
Yeah, it's just a virtual private server. Yeah, they're so common. I mean,
you look up VPS, you get 10,000, hundreds of thousands of results.
Yeah, of all these different
companies,
millions. All these different companies that offer the service, and I went to several providers. I went to several providers over the years. But anyway, so he had actually turned me on to the concept of it, like I said. And so I went down and I went into my hosting provider and I got a VPS set up, to play with and test out, right? And I said, install Ubuntu server. And I believe it was Ubuntu server either 10.04 or 12.04. I think it's 12.04 server. And so I set that up. I installed Apache on it and PHP and everything, and I was able to get a WordPress install on it from scratch within like 30 minutes, and it was really stable and everything. And I ran that for probably a good year or two, and ran a lot of my infrastructure for my websites and stuff out of that. So it wasn't that bad. So that was my first experience I can remember with Linux, and I just remember being so thrilled. But the thing I remember for me is I was already quite into the computer world. I mean, I may have not used Linux much in the past, but I sure heck had used Windows and Mac, and I was definitely no newbie user either. I was definitely more of the advanced Windows and Mac user for sure. I was used to being in the command line. I was used to that kind of thing. That didn't scare me or anything. So running a server via the command line was like, this is easy. I'm used to typing all this stuff anyways. Might as well just use it to run a website, right? But anyways, but yeah, I think this is interesting just to see the new user's perspective. So yeah. Microsoft is bringing the PowerShell to the Ubuntu Snap Store. Whoa. Who cares, right? I mean, do you actually care? Who uses PowerShell? I mean, does anybody actually even use PowerShell at this point, Tyler? I mean, really?
What?
PowerShell. Microsoft is bringing PowerShell to the Ubuntu Snap Store.
Like, oh, really?
Does anybody even use PowerShell? Why would we care?
I don't know. I don't think anybody does.
I mean, you got Bash, for goodness sakes. They put Bash on Windows because there was such a demand for it. I don't think anyone cares about PowerShell. Bash is like Bash and the other Unix, Linux shells are the best, and I don't know why anybody would want to use PowerShell. Even on Windows, I wouldn't use PowerShell. So, and I used to be a Windows
PowerShell. I didn't know what the heck PowerShell was.
I used PowerShell like 1 or 2 times in Windows, and I opened it by accident. It was like, oops, I didn't mean to open this application. Close.
What even is PowerShell?
I don't. It's like a shell, like Bash, but it's like really crappy. There, I just described it to you. And by the way, I gotta apologize, folks. It's been a busy week, and I think I may have messed up the slide because the link for the source to this on OMG Ubuntu, I put a link to Google Chrome's upgraded UI using Material 2. What I meant to put the link to the PowerShell thing, so I apologize. We'll put the right link in the description. My apologies. Speaking of Google and Google stuff,
right.
Now, speaking of Google and Google stuff, Google has decided to become a platinum member of the Linux Foundation. So, yay!
Oh, I just realized what you did. Good job.
Yeah. Anyways, but so Google is now a platinum member of the Linux Foundation. Yay! This is actually about 2 weeks old news, but we haven't been here in 3. So, but yeah, they decided to increase. I believe they were already a member, but they were like what I forget what. There's like is there a thing below platinum? I think there is, and I'm pretty sure that's what they was a member before. And then they decided to upgrade their membership. But anyways, that means that they're donating even more money to the Linux Foundation, which pays Linus's salary. So that's great. Linus is going to get a paycheck. That's always nice to hear.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad to hear about that, and I think everyone in the Linux community should be. Look, Google has some issues for sure, but I use a lot of Google stuff. They're a big supporter of open source. They open source a lot of their own stuff, and unlike some companies, like say Microsoft being a part of the Linux Foundation, I actually welcome this. I think it's actually good, and I think as major supporters of open source, I think they really should be members. They've proven that they are good stewards of open source, and I think they deserve to be members. Anyways. So, and by the way, apparently I have the wrong link on this slide too. I guess I forgot to update the link on any of these. So I apologize. Again, right links will be in the description. Anyways, on to Linux user news. Elementary OS is a new Judo beta is out. So if you want to go check that out, you can, but they stress what should be pretty obvious. It's not production ready. So don't use this in production. Don't really review it because it's buggy and it's not worth really reviewing. It's not done. Linux Mint Cinnamon. There's a Linux Mint Cinnamon Mac themed
Macintosh theme. It's a cinnamon Macintosh.
A cinnamon Macintosh.
That's sorry, I had to make that joke.
I feel like that's gonna be something.
Linux, cinnamon, and a type of apple there.
Yeah. Anyways, so Linux Mint Cinnamon's desktop. There is now someone that has made a Mac theme for that, so that's pretty cool. And then I want to stress this very seriously, folks. Group news, please. Will somebody be a guest speaker? Like, seriously, submit a request to be a guest speaker. If you are over the age of 18 and you are willing to come on the air with us and do a guest talk to the Linux community, we'd really appreciate it. We enjoy it when we have guest talks. Some of our admins have even started out as guest speakers. Tyler is a good example of this.
Yes.
So, it's a great way to start. So like I said, if you're over 18 and you have a webcam and a mic and you have something good to talk about, submit us a guest talk. Go to wrong web page. Go to vincentmagger.com/the-internet-linux-users-group. We'll have a link in the description, folks. And you can go ahead and fill out the speakers form. And if we feel that you're a good fit for the group, we will contact you about doing your talk. This you see on your screen here, this is just some of the information to know about doing a talk. You must be 18 or older to do a talk. You must agree to be on the YouTube channel, obviously. You need to have Google Hangouts. We'd prefer for you to have a contact method such as Skype, Discord, email, etc. Preferably Skype or Discord, so one of the admins can speak to you, make sure your mic works ahead of time and everything, and it sounds good. A webcam's not always a requirement, but we prefer it. A good mic would be good to have, or a requirement to have. And we ask that you keep your talk clean, which Tyler has cussed in like the last 2 meetings. So I'm not even really sure that's
kind of a cursing curse word.
Yeah. So, folks, the meetings are live, and I do want to stress that if someone accidentally drops a cuss word, there's no way to really stop that.
Effing F-bomb.
You didn't need to give us an example. Anyways.
I said effing F-bomb.
Yeah. Anyways. So, but anyway, so like I said, try to keep it clean, but we'll try to be understanding if you accidentally drop a cuss word because we're humans, and so are you.
Nobody's perfect.
Exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong, Linus Torvald is as close as we can get. No, I'm just kidding.
No. That would be Mr. Rogers.
Oh, God, Mr. Rogers was phenomenal, yeah. But he didn't write the Linux kernel, man. I mean, that's the thing.
He's Mr. Rogers. You can't wrong him.
Well, I know, but, I mean, if he wrote the Linux kernel, then I'd be more comfortable giving him the best position. He still deserves it, but it feels like that's that one last thing he should have to be the best. Yeah. The best person deemed by the Linux users group.
I know, right?
That's like Times Person of the Year, the Internet Linux Users Group Person of the Year, right? But that actually, maybe we should do that. That'd be kind of cool. But anyways, like someone influential in the Linux community, we give them like an award or something, like at the end of the year or something. And people like in the user group could vote. And in the community on who the best is. That might actually be fun. Let us know in the comments if you think that's a great idea, guys. But anyways, guys, I think that covers the meeting. There's really nothing else to talk about. And so, Tyler, any closing words for our audience?
Yes. This video is sponsored by nobody because we don't have sponsors.
Oh, Tyler me was talking about that before. Yeah. If you want to sponsor the users group, feel free to do so. So,
yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for joining us for today's meeting, and we will hopefully be talking to you guys again next week if everything goes well. Oh, one other thing I forgot that I want to mention here: me and Tyler are discussing the idea of changing the frequency of meetings, because a meeting every week is just a little bit too crazy, and there's not enough stuff happening in the Linux world to really make it worth doing a talk a week. See, when we started this process, we thought it would make sense because we'd have a guest speaker. So we talk about the tiny bit of news, and then we'd have a guest speaker after the news, and then we would, say thanks for joining us with the meeting, and close off the meeting, right? But we didn't account for the fact, which is a very stupid thing on our account that we didn't account for, is that people don't know about us enough yet to really have enough guest speakers to do this every week. So the new plan right now we're looking at, possibly not set in stone yet, is to change it to either once a month or every other Saturday. In other words, two times a month. So depending on what happens, we'll see. But we'll keep you updated on that. Probably next week's meeting or the next meeting, whenever that is, we will probably put that in the group news and let you know what the schedule change will be. But we are going to keep it on Saturdays. That's already been decided for sure. And we're probably going to keep the time the same, but we'll see. But anyways, guys, thanks for joining us. Don't forget to keep using Linux, and we'll talk to you guys in a future meeting. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, have a good day, guys.